like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
The Boruto chapter has recently been leaked and it's in French. Now I do want to point this out, the Boruto chapter leaking, that isn't necessarily anything too crazy, man, because we've seen it a lot before, but as soon as Boruto switched over to V-Jump, we haven't really seen a Boruto chapter be leaked early in a very long time. Actually, I think this might actually be the first time we've actually seen a Boruto chapter be leaked this early. Back when it was on Shonen Jump, it would leak like probably a day or two, possibly even 3 days before, but it'd be in Korean until the actual day it was supposed to be released. That right there was extremely normal, but for right now, this right here is not normal. But without further ado, the next chapter is rather interesting. First things first, I do want to point out, the whole chapter is not going to be about Kashin, Koji, and Jigen. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys possibly thought that that was going to be the case. We understand in the last chapter there was a huge bombshell dropped by Amado, the scientist for the Kata organization. He basically said that he wants to defect from the Kata organization and join the Hidden Leaf Village. Now it was a very, very big question of if we can actually trust Amado. Now majority of the next chapter is going to be Amado talking to regular people, talking to Naruto, talking to Shigadai, and basically us trying to decipher if we can actually trust Amado and pretty much defecting from the Kata organization. Now the next chapter, there's a lot of things that we should expect to see. One of the first things being is the 10 tails. In the last chapter of Boruto, Amado did tell Naruto that he was going to be able to tell Naruto a lot of the information. We already know a lot of information about the Kata organization and the things that he did actually say, but what we don't know is what the hell is going on with the 10 tail. Now I'm not necessarily going to be able to get into the specifics about what was said in this chapter, mainly because it's in French. I can't necessarily read French, and of course I don't necessarily want to put in the work, mainly because I don't necessarily want to get completely spoiled. But of course we did see a panel where Code was standing pretty much in front of the 10 tails, so I'm guessing they're going to pan to Code and the 10 tails, and that can possibly be in the context of Amado explaining the 10 tails to Naruto, where they got the 10 tails. Did the 10 tails come from this dimension or the last dimension? Did they possibly go back in time to retrieve the 10 tails in the 4th Great Shinobi War? We understand that other dimensions have god trees as well. We can possibly assume that other dimensions also have tailed beasts as well, so they could possibly get it from them. A whole bunch of questions that we do have, and of course, how did the Kata organization actually tame the 10 tails? For a tiny bit at the end of the chapter, we did see Kashin, Koji, and Jigen get into it, like just for a little bit. Now I do want to point this out, it was majority of just them talking, but there was a couple of panels of them actually getting into some action. Jigen pulled some absolute insane thing and impaled Kashin, Koji a couple of times, but it seems like Kashin, Koji kind of anticipated that, and that might have actually been a shadow clone jutsu, something along those lines. And of course Kashin, Koji was still in striking distance to defeat Jigen. Now at this point, this has been said to nauseam, Jigen is extremely weakened. He's not even at 10% of his full chakra, so of course Kashin, Koji is most likely going to be able to defeat Jigen, but we are not going to be able to see the conclusion of that battle in this chapter of the Boruto manga, so anything can really happen. We did see a couple of panels show Code and the 10 tails. It's very possible that Code jumps back into that dimension and possibly tries to save Jigen from Kashin, Koji, and I think a tag team of Code plus Jigen can possibly be enough to take down Kashin, Koji. I don't necessarily think that Kashin, Koji might be stronger than Code, man, because Code has this mystique about him. We don't necessarily know this for sure, of course, man, because we haven't really seen either of them fight. Of course, we've seen Kashin, Koji play around with Konohamaru a tiny bit, but we've never really seen both of them fight, so it's just really speculation. But speculating, I think that Code is a little bit stronger than Kashin, Koji just by his mystique, and of course, as I said, a team of Jigen plus Code would possibly be enough to defeat Kashin, Koji. Now at this particular point, what we understand is that Naruto does not necessarily know exactly what's going on. Naruto is going to be in a bit of trouble, mainly because it's very possible for Jigen to understand that, hey, I'm in trouble, and Jigen could like snap his fingers and appear right in Kawaki's hand. What we've seen before in a couple of chapters ago, Jigen was looking for Kawaki and he said, you know what, bump it, I'm just gonna appear right in front of Kawaki, and Jigen ended up right into Naruto's living room. This can possibly happen again, mainly because we understand that Jigen is extremely weak and he might actually die, and this might be the only way of Jigen actually surviving. So Naruto is in trouble. Now at 10% of chakra, of course I'm not worried about Jigen destroying, or Isshiki Otsutsuki like destroying Naruto or anything like that, or killing Naruto, killing Sasuke. Of course Naruto would be able to completely destroy Jigen or Isshiki Otsutsuki, but the point that I'm saying is if Jigen appears into Naruto's living room, Jigen could do a lot of damage with only 10% of his chakra. That's a very strong man. And of course, because Naruto does not necessarily know all the ins and outs of Jigen's energy and Jigen's abilities, it'll be very easy for Jigen to escape that particular situation. And because he's going to be able to get away, it could possibly cause a lot of problems for a character like Kawaki. And of course, that right there is going to be a very important seed in the future of the Boruto series. So in these upcoming chapters, the death of Jigen is going to be absolutely hurting it. It might be a situation where Amado explains that possibility to Naruto, and then they're prepared for Jigen to actually show up. But that also lends itself to a different theory altogether, and I did want to make a specific video about this of if we can actually trust Amado, man, because we understand that Amado and Kashin Koji, they're on a mission to assassinate Jigen. Now, to be completely thorough in actually assassinating Jigen or Isshiki Otsutsuki, you would also have to assassinate Kawaki. Now, of course, I'm going to make a full video about this and explain all my reasons about why I think this could possibly be a very realistic situation. But for right now, because that is definitely an unknown, we still do have to keep a very keen eye on a character like Amado in the next chapter of Boruto. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Amado isn't necessarily loyal. Amado could be 100% committed, but he just feels like to be completely thorough in assassinating Jigen and Isshiki Otsutsuki, he needs to eliminate Kawaki. For a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit disappointing, man, because we're not going to get to see the whole Jigen versus Kashin Koji fight in its entirety in this chapter. But one thing I do have to say is I won't necessarily doubt the Boruto manga. They've never really let me down before. Maybe in kind of chapter 41, 42, that was a little bit boring for some of you guys, man, because it was the same battle and it was just that battle. But for the most part, the Boruto manga is always spot on, and if they do have a majority of this chapter being strictly informational and not necessarily action based, there's going to be some very, very serious information being passed back and forth between Amado, Shikidai, and also Naruto. And you know, at this point, it's very, very clear. One of the biggest draws to Kashin Koji is going to be if he has some sort of relation to Jiraiya. You can possibly glean some light or some information of if Kashin Koji could possibly be involved with Jiraiya. Maybe he's his son. Some people think that he could possibly be a genetic clone. Some people think that he could possibly be Konohamaru's father. A whole bunch of things like that. Because we have the level of dialogue that we do have in the next chapter between Kashin Koji and Jigen, maybe Kashin Koji wants to figure out more information about himself. Either way, the next chapter is going to be very, very good. It's going to be very influential, and even though it's not necessarily going to have a lot of action, I do anticipate it to be a lot of very, very helpful information being passed back and forth. But let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comment section below, and give me your opinions and predictions about what you guys expect to see in the next chapter of Boruto. Now, in my opinion, I think information that we're going to glean from Amado is if we can actually trust him or not, and possibly some information about the 10 tails. But let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.